Stop studying frameworks. If you're a beginner, most beginners these days start their programming journey learning framework. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but frameworks aren't the right place to learn programming, and more like the worst place you could start this journey. Here's why you shouldn't learn frameworks as a beginner and what you should do instead. So let's get this straight. Frameworks are good tools, but not so much for beginners. Frameworks are meant to make the life of a developer easy by not making him write 100 lines of code just to write a simple get or post request. They work by abstracting away all the minute details that would seem repetitive while building apps. While all this sounds good, it's of very little help to you as a beginner. While you're learning, your goal isn't to build the best app as fast as you can. Your main goal is to learn as much as possible. Go in every possible detail that any language has to offer. Understand how the language functions at its core. I would even go to say that you don't even need to build apps. You need to go through the journey of building apps. Doesn't matter if the result comes out as you wanted it to be. What matters is the programming that you have learned in this journey. And if you'll be using frameworks in this learning process, they do the exact opposite of this. They will skip over much of the details that are necessary to build stuff. You would know how to build something using a certain framework, but you would have no clue about how it functions under the hood. It's like a person who wants to cross a river. You could put them in a speedboat and someone operating the speedboat. But if next time they don't find the speedboat, they would be stuck. In contrast, you can tell someone to swim, they would learn swimming and cross the river. And they would learn even more if you tell them to build a raft and paddle it themselves. And that is what our goal is while learning programming. You want to learn how to build anything with any given language or framework so that you're not limited. Another major fallback of learning frameworks at the beginning is the rigid rules frameworks have. They oftentimes dictate how certain things should be done, even if there could be better ways to do the same thing. And often these techniques change from one framework to another, or even in the same framework with different versions. If you're basing your learning off this doesn't guarantee that it would benefit you in the future. And more likely, these techniques would disappear along with the frameworks. So now that we know what we shouldn't do as a beginner, let's take a look how you should go about learning programming. To begin with, start with a low-level language like C. And if C sounds too intimidating to you, pick any other comparatively high-level language like C++ or Python. First, learn the basics about that language. Then, move on to learning some data structures and try to implement them. Once you're comfortable with the core concepts of that language, move on to building small apps that you use normally in that language. It could be anything from a simple terminal weather app to a to-do list app or anything that you like. These apps should be very basic and should just focus on the core functionality. Your main goal while building is the implementation process and the interesting stuff that you come across while building certain functionality or feature. Once you build a certain app, try refining it. Try making it a little bit better. It could be as simple as adding a simple GUI to it, or it could be adding in functionality that you think you needed in an app, but it didn't come with it. And once you build a handful of such apps, you would have learned a lot, from setting up an environment to deploying and all the things that fall in between. You would have come across many libraries that helped you and made your job a little bit easy. You would have learned a lot about the language itself, how it functions, what are the functionalities it has to offer. And once you've done this enough times, learning any new framework would be a cakewalk for you, because you already have mastered all the concepts of programming. And if you follow this way of learning programming by building apps, starting from low-level languages, moving upwards, and not using frameworks, you would enjoy your programming journey a lot more. I hope you found this helpful. If you like this video, do leave a like. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.